I'm so excited. This morning I heard this woman and she was talking, and she's from the Secret Space program, and she's Australian. I'm not really sure who she is. I know there's a lot more of those Secret Space program people who have been out, trying to whistleblow on the whole system. But she was talking about the Medbeds, and this is something I've been talking about for so long. If you've been following me, then you know how long I've been talking about this. So I'm really excited because she said that she was talking to somebody who is a part of the alliance, and that they said that in the beginning of December, she said the second or third week, they're going to start rolling it out, disclosing about the med beds. They're going to start setting up consultations and appointments to go in and use them. And it's going to go on a, whoever, like if somebody goes in and they're like, like me, somebody who knows what they are and isn't scared and understands that this technology is far advanced than what they disclose to us. And so if, someone like that is understands and they're willing to go and, be one of the trailblazers into this technology, and they have cancer or something, so they would go, or a heart problem. Anybody who has got real physical symptoms, real physical illness or something, they would be able to go first. So even like, for blindness, it wouldn't be like, oh, I would be first in line over somebody who has a heart problem, you know what I mean? Because I can still live my life, even with not being able to see. But if you don't have your heart working, you got a problem. So there's going to be, she said it's kind of like be like a triage kind of thing. But you go in, and she said that you will, you're in like a gown or something, and there's a computer screen, and you, it's almost like you design yourself. Like you can change the length of your hair, you can change the color of it. I don't know if you can, I don't know what all stuff is going to be available. I mean, I was going for the, to get kind of purge out all of the chemicals, to straighten my spine, to fix my eyes, to fix my brain. I want these, this insecurity thing that I had put on there. I want that out, so all of these different things that we're going to be able to go in and do. But another thing too is you have to be in alignment, mind, body, soul. Like I said, you're not going to be able to just go in. But she said you can look at yourself on the screen and you can be like, okay, yeah. Like, say you are somebody who has really been focusing on your health and really taking care of yourself, and you've lost 100, 200 pounds or something, and you have all that skin. You can go in and it just goes off like it wasn't even there. So that's the benefit of doing all of this stuff now and starting to take really good care of yourself. But and what I've talked about so much, even with weight issues, there's always underlying issues: alcoholism, drug addiction, food, even gossip. All of those things have an underlying thing that needs to be healed. So that's what I'm constantly saying. You've got to be working on yourself. We're moving to a new age where it's going to have value, but to to be a part of some of this stuff as it's occurring, you have to be in alignment. So you have to be, mind, body, spirit aligning and connecting, so that you can go in and it can be effective. Like, you can't raise your vibration artificially. Like, I talk about this all the time. Like, there's so many people who think like it is, I raise my vibration and that makes me healed, when it's the other way around. It is you heal to raise your vibration. There is no quick fix. This is all just what, they've gotten this, keep having all these different words, but none of them are the right word that I want. But this society, how they've got it so convinced for, it's got to come quick. Oh, it should come in a really nice package. It should smell good. All of these things that, I don't know, when you start seeing through the matrix, you start seeing so many things. Like, to me, I even question now, like when I'm gonna wash my hands, like, why am I washing my hands? Why am I convinced that I need some sort of detergent right now to go on and take something off my hands? Like, what is on my hands? I can see like if they're look dirty or they're sticky or whatever, but there's so many of us who just go in and wash them just because, it's like ingrained into us. So the more you start questioning yourself on these things, and the more you open yourself up to thinking about them, the more you start to really question, like, why? How much of this mindless stuff do we just do? They just, oh, you got to do this. You got to eat 3 times. It is so much like consciousness babysitting. Consciousness doesn't know what to do, so they just babysit them. But, this place became an enslavement center and prison, so it had to be, things had to change here. But it is definitely when you start seeing like how it is like a consciousness babysitter until consciousness reaches that point in its own existence to be prepared to pull free from that. Like, I don't need to be told when and how to do it. Like, one thing I was questioning for a pretty long time now, and I know I've talked about this in other ones, was why do we need a government? Why do we need police? Why do we need these things? Like, I don't feel like, oh, there's no cop right here, so I can run in there and commit a crime or something. Like, it comes from within. We don't need people to make it their job to police us. We need to open that up inside of ourselves and police our own selves. So the more that we can get people to really start, opening themselves up to the truth and reality, then the more our whole transformation of our society happens, because we don't need people to oversee us. There was, before the colonization, the white people who, I would think of these people as being the Rockefellers, their group, the people who went out, like to take over, because they were being led to by these more sophisticated, highly technological beings that were guiding them of what to do. So all of the stuff that they did was always to benefit them, wasn't to benefit us. But the more you break free from them, and the more you see them, the more the more it heals you. There was some other point I was going to make about that, but I can't think of what it was now. But anyways, so the more that you can focus on your own healing, and don't turn it over to don't think it has to be a quick fix. There's no quick fix in enlightenment. Like you think about like these gurus or monks or whatever, they spend their whole lives trying to connect to that other side for the messages, the relief, the understanding. So when it doesn't happen like 2 weeks after you lost your job, you're putting too much expectation, and those are limitations. When you create like, oh, it has to be done by this time or it's not effective. Like so many people, like even when you are manifesting something, and I'm not saying like, I'm going to manifest myself to be rich or whatever, just certain things in your life, like bringing in love, say, and, you work on yourself. Like for me, went through a lot of trauma in my life and a lot of hard relationships that I could have easily just sat back and been like, oh, it's not me. It was never me. I'm the victim. These people are so mean. What does that do for me? Not much. But when I go in and I recognize my part in it, and I see like, oh, I was doing this. Oh, I see. I was putting this out there. Oh, I should have been protecting myself. When you start having like all these light bulbs going on, and it is helps you to be able to recognize yourself and see through your own little games. But for me, going through all of that stuff and then getting to the point where I had to have that reflection, that aspect of the dark night where you have to go through, you have to see these dark sides of yourself. You have to recognize the sides of yourself that you don't want to think about, because they're kind of like weak little bitch ass sides, but we all have them. And so when you go through and you start to recognize them and you start healing them and you start putting yourself back into balance and you are pulling free from the system and you're becoming your authentic self, not your designed self to what they want you to be, created by limitations and other people's expectations, victim mentality, addiction, like all of the stuff that they create in this weird existence. So when you get to that point where you are like, oh, I am ready, I'm ready to be in that place, to be a participant in love, to actually be in love. Because before, that wasn't love. What the relationships I had before, those were lessons. Those were lessons about relationships. Those were lessons about my own way I saw myself, my self. It was like self-prophecy. Like, if you don't think well of yourself, then everything's going to keep failing, right? But it was how I saw myself through. It was expressing myself through relationships. So it wasn't in love. It was me getting to identify parts of myself through lessons. Not to say that these relationships are not significant, because any relationship that you have is very significant. Whether it's karmic, they call it karmic, or, they're all people who you have a soul connection with. Anybody who's there teaching you something is somebody you have a soul connection with. So those kind of relationships, when you're learning those, they are very powerful when you go and you take those lessons and you move forward with them. If you're stuck and you're just sitting there, oh, poor me, or there's such a jerk, then you're kind of just stuck there. You got to just, always go for what in me, why was I allowing that? What in me made me feel like I didn't deserve better? Because then you start moving out of that and stop focusing on what they did. What they did doesn't matter. It's what you did that matters, that changes your life. So when you get to that part and you start really identifying yourself as a more valuable person, and you feel more healed, you don't feel so raw. You feel, it feels good to feel like your authentic self. But when you get into these positions and you start being like, okay, I'm ready for love now. I'm ready to experience, like, what does it really feel to be in love, to be in a loving relationship, and so say you start manifesting like I'm ready for that. I know that's what I want. Then it takes a long time. Then you can feel like, well, this isn't working. You can't put a time limit on things. You can't put in the experience, you can't sit there and think like you're putting your own limitations by your own expectation. Like, oh, it had to be done by, December 22nd at 12:52, and it wasn't. So then you have to start coming into alignment with timing and understanding timing, which is different than time. Timing has to do with all things and how they all connect and how they all fit together. And so your your relationship or your love or that you're pulling in is somewhere in there. But you can't know when, and you can't know what all you have to do in order to get yourself in that place, because it is all about this timing. It is all about how, this domino hits this domino, hits this domino, hits this domino. It all has a pattern of significance that is creating, and it's creating in your life. So if you just sit there going, well, last year I called in my soulmate, and now I've sat here and they haven't come, and it's just not working. This is just crazy. This isn't working. Then you've got a lot of things in your own self that you got to work on. And that's what it should be showing you. You know, that there's things in you that you still have to work on. And so when things are not proceeding, there's a lot of things that have to happen. So even, you know, for me, I have another friend that we've been very focused on our healing for a long time, and we'll talk about that. Like, you know, I feel like I've got so much stuff healed, you know, like it begins to make you go question yourself, like, you know, what is the blockage? What is keeping me from this next step towards this path that I'm on? And, you know, that there's a part of just being able to go with the flow and know in your heart what is coming, what is yours, and what you deserve. And, you know, if you start getting into that, like, oh, I'll never get what I want. I'm only going to get, you know, I don't deserve this and I don't deserve that. I'm only going to get, you know, I want this. Say, I want Jim, but I'm going to get, you know, thought of a bunch of different, like, I don't know, Beavis and Butthead, you know, like you think, you know, I want this, but then you are only going to get this. Well, if that's what you think, then that's what you'll get. But there's a lesson behind that, because then that is what you were ready for, that lesson. So you had to learn that lesson. So there's always these lessons that are opening up to you the whole way. So it is so much more about, you know, being present, being healed, understanding that manifesting has its own time, and being rational and reasonable in what you're manifesting, and to have gratitude for all things, to know your place in this universe. Like, all of these things all have to do with this pure enlightenment experience that we're all trying to move towards for ascension. So don't get caught up. Well, I mean, if you do get caught up, then just be prepared for that lesson. And don't get too stuck in your lessons, you know, being all upset. Like, the more that you are fluid, the more your experiences will be fluid. They won't be as, you know, because you can sit there, like, you can stew on something for months. You can stew on something for years. There's people who have stewed on things for decades, you know, and where does that hold them? It holds them stagnant in that place. They're holding on to this energy. And you think about this too, is because, you know, if you're holding on to somebody, you know, 30 years ago, something that you did 30 years back, you're holding on to something that doesn't even exist anymore. That person doesn't even exist anymore. That is an experience that was just there to teach you. But that person has gone on and grown and changed, and you are still holding on to that. You are stuck in the past. It's you that's being affected by this. So it's your responsibility to get yourself out of it. Nobody can go back in and change something that happened 20 or 30 years ago. You know, it's up to you to let go of things. That is all a part of forgiveness. It's just understanding, like, well, there was a lesson in there for me. Possibly I was teaching them a lesson. You know, it's a release of energy. It's letting go of stuff. You know, the more you hold on and hold, oh, I'm going to stay mad forever. Oh, they did me wrong. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, you know, you have got yourself stuck in there. So how do you grow from that? You got to let go of it. You got to let go of whatever it is that you think is so fucking important that you got to hold on to it and hold this grudge for however long it takes. By what is the end game? Like, you think if you hold on to this grudge for 40, 50 years, like, this person might die or something? I mean, we're all going to die. So, you know, what is it? That is where, if you can go in and uncover the layers and start looking at it deeper and understand it more, then you can let it go. That is part of this healing, is go in. If you have things like that, or you're holding resentment towards this person or that person, start with forgiveness. Just starting with forgiveness can just let so much weight off of you. It sounds crazy because, you know, we've been trained to do things very differently than that. But it is true. It's very true. It's the releasing of energy that you've got pinned up, this energetic thing you have given all this energy to, and you're holding on to it. And you're making yourself sick, for one thing, and you're keeping yourself stuck. So, you know, the more you can just let it go, let it go. You know, one thing I gotta let go is this fucking, shadow banning stuff. Oh my God. I can't even tell you how irritating it is. It's so irritating. I don't even know how they do it. How they can just hold your videos back so that they just, and they make it so obvious. It's so funny because they make it so obvious when they do it. So crazy. But also I do want to put it out there that, you know, I know Secret Service monitors my stuff. I don't think that they would shadow ban, though. I think that is the controllers, which, you know, when you get to the Secret Service, then it is, I mean, when they came, they were just like, we're not trying to step on your First Amendment rights. You know, freedom of speech. You say what you want to say. We're not trying to tell you you can't say what you want to say. So, I mean, we know that the NSA is a part of the good guys. They got all the information on the bad guys. So, yeah, I don't know who it is. I would just say it is it has got to be the cabal. That it owns all the media and stuff. I mean, we already know that. But they are actually restricting ones. In the ones I've heard, too, is so much about spiritual healing, about our truth, about history and stuff. You think it's only just about this and those kinds of things. No, it's way, way beyond that, what they are trying to keep that information out. And it is shocking. Like, if you went on to my TikTok thing and you would see, like, which ones that they don't, like 5 people have seen it. You go in and you listen. It's like, oh, so you don't want people to know this. Huh. It's always very surprising. But I just want to put this out there in case anybody is watching that is, you know, whatever, if it's just done by algorithm, by the cabal, or if they actually go in and, you know, watch any of this stuff. But I want in on the first stuff in the Medbeds. I will document it. I will, all of it. I'm definitely not scared of the Medbeds. I'm so looking forward to it. And I want to get Stella in one. And I'm really hoping that they have ones for dogs. I mean, when you have a deformity that is causing so much pain, like, I can relate. I've got scoliosis. And, you know, she's got this hip deformity. So, yeah, I want in those beds, but I want her in those beds. So, and I will do my part. I'll document it all. You know, so please message me if you're really listening to my stuff. Message me, and yeah, I'll be a guinea pig for that. I'm not going to be a guinea pig for this. I've been through my experience with Big Pharma and this Western medical. Yeah, I know how they work. I'm not any part of that, but yeah, I'm all for this more sophisticated technology and disclosure, because yeah, I'm excited for the future. So give me a call. I'll talk to you later. Bye.